Hey Flosstube, it is Michelle from Made by Michelle McGraw, and it is December 16th. It is a Flosstube number that I don't know, but I will put in the description box when I upload it. I have a ton of stuff to show, and I wanted to jump on and do a Flosstube before I ran out of time, which I am running out of time. So my husband and I have been traveling. We did 11 large loads out of Atlanta. We haul only our own equipment, so it's stuff that we bought, and hauling it back to our recycling yard. We recycle concrete, so big equipment. 11 loads. There was 13 total, but we did have a buddy of ours that drove 2 of the loads, and he was down there helping us. So 11 loads out of Atlanta. No offense to anyone who lives in Atlanta, but I don't know why you do. Because that traffic is no joke. Like, oh my gosh. I'm over Atlanta traffic for a little while. I don't want to go to Atlanta. I don't want to see Atlanta roads for a while, okay? No offense, but whoo, I mean, the only time we didn't hit traffic was like 9 o'clock at night. And there was still traffic, it just wasn't stopped traffic. So we did 11 loads out of Atlanta, and then we also did 1 load out of Michigan. We have another load to get. I'm not sure when we're going to be getting it. It could be this week. It is a permit load, like a super permit load. It's super long, where you're gonna have a huge long trailer. We're gonna have 2 escorts, 1 in front and 1 in back, and all the way from Michigan to North Carolina. So that one they're still planning. They're trying to figure out like the weights and stuff. I secretly hope that it's after Christmas, because I have a hair appointment next week, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I really want to go get my hair done. So I'm hoping that they can't get their stuff together to get the permit figured out, but we'll see. Well, I'll go if it is. I have a bunch of stuff to finish. I have a bunch of fully finishes to show you. It is going to be the most haphazard Flosstube, because I literally just said I had some time, and why don't I go ahead and film? Some of my stuff, I think I've pulled it out of my finishing pile, but there might be some things that I have stitched that you won't see this time because they're in my finishing pile, and I grabbed out what I could that you haven't seen, but you will see it fully finished. I am working on all of those, but I pulled out what I found, but I'm sure I missed some. Anyhow, I have a lot to show, so you won't miss them, and I'll just say, hey, this is, you haven't seen this one. And I have my elf sweatshirt on today. I also have elf leggings on that have like the silhouette down the leg, so it looks like I'm wearing pajamas today, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I'm not mad about it. Like, not mad about it at all. I love it. Okay. Oh, the other big news. My son and his girlfriend got engaged, so now fiance. So we have known Mackenzie since she was 14. And we just think the world of her. We already think that she's family. So this is just kind of putting the ink on the page. So they are engaged. Actually, I'm going to go with her tomorrow and her mom, and we're going to go visit a venue to see if she likes it. So I'm honored to be included. Obviously, I'm the mother of the groom, so I will be keeping my opinions to myself. No, I will tell her like, hey, you should ask about this or something like that. But ultimately, this is their wedding, and it's what they want. So whatever they want is fine by me. I'm good with anything. So we're going to go tomorrow and look at a venue. And this is like her top pick venue. So we'll see if she likes it in person. So anyhow, that was our exciting news. I did post it on my Instagram. If you don't already follow me, it is Made by Michelle McGraw on Instagram. So check that out. Okay. What have I been up to? I have been stitching. Even though we've been traveling a lot, I'm out of the truck a lot helping, but I'm also, sometimes there's things that I can't help with. So I do get some stitching. I also stitch in the truck while it's moving. I have learned that I only like to stitch on 14 count Aida when I'm in the big truck. A big truck moves a whole lot more than a car. And so I can stitch in the car, no problem. But in a big truck, I'm sticking with 14 count. And I will show you my bag that I have kitted up when we go back to Michigan. I have some of them done. I'm going to add some more to them. I'll show you that later. All right, so what have I fully finished? Because that's the fun part, right? I do not have the chart, or I don't know where I put the chart. Let me get the details in case anybody is, okay. These are called Dino Hoops from Stitcherovia. And I finished these a while back. I used 14 count Picture This Plus Tyco. And I finished them a while back and showed them to you guys. And now I have them fully finished. So these were a set of 4. There is 1 ornament for each of my kids and then 1 to stay on my tree. It was a set. I did not do Mackenzie one of these because she got something girly instead of this. And technically she gets this on her tree because her and Kyle have their own Christmas tree. So this will be going to her house anyhow. So she gets to enjoy it. So, all right, I will show them to you. Let me get my board. My board has fuzzies on it. Can you see that? Not really. Okay. And it's like 4 o'clock, so I'm so sorry about the lighting. So I have been doing round finishes. Now, I used Vanna's tutorial. If you look on her tutorial page, Vanna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitcher, and if you look on her tutorial page, this is the one she does with a circle finish, and it has the Prairie Schooler farm. It might be called Farmhouse Animals, Farm Christmas Animals, or something like that. That's the tutorial I used, with some adaptations that she used homespun fabric and did the edging around it. I did not use homespun fabric for the backing, so I used ribbon. But how she went about them is how I did it. And I will show you later on one of my finishes where I'm in the middle of fully finishing it and you can see the back. And I will talk about a circle finish in just a minute. Let me show you all of them, and then I will talk a couple things that I have found that is invaluable for circle finishes. Everything that I will say, Vanna says. Everything. So watch her tutorial, but I will show you some keys and how I made it easy for me. Okay, so this is the first one. Adorable. This is some ribbon that I had in my stash. It is Stampin' Up ribbon. And so I used it, and there's my backing fabric. And I did use a little tag. I cut out a little piece of the same. When I trim my pieces down, I save some of the stitching or the fabric, and I just make a little tag. Now, why do I do this? This is my middle son's, ORM. Those are his initials, and I put the year on it. I do that because I will forget which ornament is Owen's, and he picked this one out. I had the 4 sitting here. I think Mackenzie picked out her and Kyle's. Owen picked out the next, and then I had 2 left, and Jesse picked out the one he wanted out of the 2. And that's kind of how I do it. Like, I'll try to grab Jesse for another one and let him pick first or something like that. But I will forget which ornament is which if I don't put tags on it. So there's an up close circle finish. I did put the ribbon on. I think it's called ruching. I don't know what that term is. Somebody has told me I don't know how to pronounce it the correct way because I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'm not sure which one's the correct way. Anyhow, I will show you a finish in a little bit where I did the ribbon differently. I have told you guys I do not use wet glue well. So I always sew on my ribbon on my pillows. I can control it. I can control where it goes. It's just what I did for these. I did get over my glue aversion. I've done some of it and it makes it easy. I have to be light-handed. Well, I'll show you those in a little bit. Okay, so that's the first one. This is Owen's Ornament. Keeping when I do a set, I like to finish them all the same with the same backing and the same ribbon. This is my oldest son's. Oops, the little ribbon's hanging. I might need to snip those ends a little more. And his backing is the same, and his initials. This one is Jessie's. Now, when I did these patterns, these are a Stitch Rovia pattern on Etsy, I changed the colors. I had a floss pack that was from the Frosted Pumpkin, and I really liked it, and I used those colors just because I already had them pulled, and it was super easy. They were all DMC, but I used that pack. I think it was the floss pack for, oh, it might have been the Christmas wreath one that they did, and I had bought the floss pack, but then I decided I wasn't going to do it right away, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to use that. I liked them. And then this is the one that'll stay on our tree. Super cute. I don't think I can hang, maybe I can hold all 4 of them up. No, probably not. There's 3. And then there's 4. So all 4 of those. And those are done. The next one that I did was my nephew's, and this is a pattern off of Etsy, but I don't think I have the card over here. It's a pattern off of Etsy, and it was all sharks, different shark ones. He has a beach themed tree, and so I did him the great white, and I put Shark Week down at the bottom. I just backstitched that on because he loves Shark Week. I did it as an oval finish, and I will show you this ribbon was, okay, my ribbon's a little wonky, hold on. This ribbon I actually glued on the edge. That made it incredibly fast, but what I found is the ribbon width has to fit this width. So on one of them I'll show you it didn't fit, so I just sewed it on and kind of twisted it around, and it was fine because it matched perfectly, and I wanted the ribbon to match more importantly than being able to glue it on. So that's my nephew's. Now he only gets a tag on the back of his that has the year because he has a sister and she knows this isn't her ornament. So I did do an ornament for his sister already, and I gifted it to her. It was a Harry Potter Draco Malfoy. I think I showed it finished before. It is fully finished on my Instagram because I gifted it to her already. She was home from college at Thanksgiving and I wanted to give it to her. So, all right, the next one, this is, and once again, I'm all out of sorts with my cards. It is a country cottage needlework, and I think it's just called Nativity, and I just did one section of it, and I did it on a scrap piece of Ada. I think it's 14 count, but it might be 16 count, and it is opalescent. You can see a little sparkle on it. I used the called for colors. Now, one of the surprising things with this chart is when I see this chart, it's like a banner. It always looks, the colors look very different than when you stitch them. And I've seen it stitched, and I like it stitched better than the front art of the chart. So that one I picked out. This was for a series that, or a, yeah, series, I guess, a set that I did for my kids, a religious one. This is my youngest's, and there's the backing. So there's his little tag. I have a fuzzy on the back, and I just coordinated the fabric to go with the front. Once again, this trim was glued on, made it super easy. I did learn I have to be very light-handed, and I just did the glue a little bit at a time and stuck it down and held it for a minute and then went and did another section. It seemed to work good. I'm still not a glue fan, but it worked. Okay, so this is the same ribbon. Let me show you. This next one is called Naughty by Lizzie Kate. And this is my middle son's. So this is the ribbon, same ribbon as this one. This one I roushed the ribbon. Let me put something behind it so you can see. This one I roushed the ribbon. This one I glued it on. So you can see the different look. It didn't even dawn on me to try to glue on that first set that I did. So this one is Naughty, and I did I did customize it a little bit and say ice speed because that boy, I'm telling you, he keeps me on my toes for sure. He's all the time working on his truck and souping it up, and yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, so I used the same fabric or same trim and different backing though. And there's his label. Okay, the next one, this is from Mrs. Claus Bakery from Stitching with the Housewives. Now, I did not do the whole pattern. I just did Mrs. Claus. I've showed this finished before, but not fully finished. I just did Mrs. Claus, and then I just added a couple things around her to kind of fill in. I thought she'd make a good circle finish. I did really want this ribbon because it matched perfectly the blue in her shoes. I'll show you up close. This is one of Mackenzie's. And I roused this ribbon on. So you can see it's kind of twisted on there. It was a little too thick. So if you can see the ribbon up here, it's a little too thick to be glued on the side. Now there might be a better fix for that, but I don't know what that is. So for me, I'm not comfortable. I just did the ruching with it. Ruching. That's gonna annoy somebody. Somebody's gonna leave me a comment and say, it's not how you say it. I'm well aware. Do not take English tips from me. Sorry, don't do that. I don't pronounce things correctly. So that is Mackenzie's. This is her backing fabric. Those are her initials down at the bottom with the year. Okay, the next one is Christmas Cats and Dogs from Doreen Jones. Now this was one that my middle son, he is our dog and cat whisperer, and so he always likes to have an animal ornament. So he picked this one out, and I like how it turned out. It is so funny to see this ornament without the back stitching. That back stitching is everything. So that is his ornament. I did glue on his ribbon as well, and here's the backing fabric. I really like this backing fabric. I don't know, it was in a fat quarter bundle. I'm definitely going to use that fabric again. Okay, my final fully finish is, I have the, I don't know why I brought that out there because that's not done. Oh, here's the chart. The original chart was from the Snowflower Diaries, Corgi Love. Now, I only did a section of it. I didn't do the flowers on it because I did want to make it into an ornament. And I did. And there is the queen. I did put a little beading on her crown. You could see a little sparkle. There's beading in here and right there. And she is stitched on, I think, 18 count. Picture this plus murky. And here is her backing fabric. So I always try to coordinate the backing fabric to the front. And I didn't have Christmas fabric that had purple in it. So she just got gingham. So that is, oh, and I added the years of her life down at the bottom to commemorate the queen dying. All right, so since I have done some circle finishes, let me tell you some of the things that I found invaluable. So, how do I make my circles? I cheat. Yep, I cheat. How do I cheat? Well, I have a die cutting machine left over from my scrapbooking days. Mine is, what is it called? A Vagabond from Tim Holtz. No, we're not doing this. Otis. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Let me move my board. I'll let them out. Hold on. There's a cat in the back of our yard and they go ballistic. I knew they weren't going to be good because they were so attentive to this window. I knew they would want to go out. Okay, so mine is a Vagabond, which means it's an electric die cutting machine. It works the same as a Big Shot. Sizzix makes the Big Shot, and you basically, it's a die cutting machine. You have dies. These are my circles. Now they look a mess, but it's because I'm finishing. That you have dies, metal dies, that you put on your paper. You're probably not going to be able to see it because these are super thin too, but they have a little ledge on them, which actually bites into your paper. It's not sharp. It doesn't hurt my hand to touch it. And you crank it through the Big Shot. Mine does the same thing. It's just electrical. I push a button. So I had circle dies and I had oval. So I cut them out of cardstock. Now I use Nina White, really thick cardstock. It is a really, really heavy cardstock. But I also use comic, I think it's called comic board. And so it's these white, thicker boards. It's like cardstock, but it's really thick and it can stand up on its own. And it will cut, my die machine will cut it. I have to do 2 passes of it, but it cuts it. So I layer one of those and like maybe 3 or 4 pieces of cardstock, and I glue it down. These are, you can see there's several layers there. Let me see if I can put my hand behind it. There's several layers there. I put it under a giant book. I glue it, put it under a book, let it really push it down, and then I bring it out maybe after 15 minutes and let it completely dry the glue. And then I have my circles. And the great thing about these is I have ovals and I have circles, but you see all the different sizes that I have. So I can take a circle die. I will show you this one that I'm going to show you in just a minute. This is the wrong size, by the way. But I can put it up to here and say, oh yeah, that's the size I want. Or I want to go smaller. And I can go smaller. I'll talk about that one in a minute. So these circle dies have been very invaluable. And I make them as thick as mat board. Mat board is hard to cut for me in a circle. Other people are very good at it. I am not. This is how I do it. A lot of times I use cardstock on my flat folds because I just layer it and make sure it's very sturdy and it's easier for me to cut and control. That's just a thing that I do. My cardstock is acid-free. The comic board is acid-free as well because you put comic books on it. I got my comic boards at, I know I got them off of Amazon. And how I found them is Steel City Stitchers. I think it's Lisa on there. Showed her fabric organization, and she used comic book board to wrap the fabric around, and then she could file it. It's a perfect solution for that. And I got it, and I've organized 2 of my 4 drawers of fabric. I have more fabric than that, but that's just in the drawers, and we're just not going to talk about it. It's a hobby. It's a hobby. It's okay. But I organized 2 of them. I had some leftover boards, so I've been using them because they are nice and sturdy, and I do like them for flat finishes. Okay, so that's one of my tips. Vanna, I believe, uses mat board. She is way better cutter than I am, but this works for me. So maybe that will work for somebody else. I hear a lot of people say, but I can't cut circles, or my circles look really crazy when I cut them. A die cutting machine is great. You could do the same thing with a Cricut. I know Cricut cuts different materials, and you can get a deep blade and cut deeper materials. You would need a deep blade to cut the comic board. You would not need a deep blade to cut the Nina White cardstock that I use. So the other thing that I found invaluable is upholstery thread. It looks very similar, but it's super thick, and it is great for pulling in if you follow Vanna's tutorial, you put your circle on here and you do a running stitch around your piece, and then you cinch it in, and that's how it gathers the material around a circle. I will tell you, I have found these more forgiving than any square rectangular flat fold that I've ever done before, because you can adjust it a little bit because you haven't tightened it, you haven't glued it. It is literally upholstery string and the fabric, and you can adjust it and then pull it tight and cinch it up. And I find the circle finishes to have been way easier than any other flat finish that I have done personally. I think I spend less time centering them. I think it's easier to center. Now, I've also centered them because I cut my original circles out exactly the size I wanted. And you see all those different sizes in there. I have a bunch of sizes in there. So, I mean, you can see just on my finishing table, I have several different sizes for projects that are coming up that I'm fully finishing. Upholstery thread, life-changing. The other thing that I think is an underrated tip that Vanna told us about, and let me tell you, it makes a difference. I'm trying to think which one. One of them, the tip that she does is that you use batting on both sides, but you use double batting, 2 layers of batting on the front. I decided I like it so much, I've done double batting on both sides. I just like the way it looks. It to me is a substantial ornament. It looks good. I love the way they feel. And the double batting is the key. So you could do it just on the front to save some batting. I've done 1 layer on the back. I personally like batting on the back. But I've also done some of them, or I've cut some of them coming up for 2 layers on both sides because I like the way it looks. So those are some tips that Vanna gives in that tutorial. Go check her out. Vanna is a master and she shares all of these tutorials for free. She has a wealth of knowledge. If you haven't seen my Instagram, I showed, Vanna recommended an iron clean. And let me go ahead and tell you, because I have gotten a message the same exact way I felt. So I had an iron that I was using just when I started to fully finish. It was one that I had that I would iron clothes with and stuff. And I decided I wanted to get an iron just to do fully finishing, a little bit better iron. So I bought a new iron, and I do have my winter ABCs, the banner. It has a mark on it. You can barely see it, but it is on there. I know it's on there. You might not see it, but I know it's on there. And it's on the stitching side. And my iron was dirty. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna ruin something. And I tried everything. I did the self-clean on my iron. I scrubbed my iron. It would not come off. This iron clean took every bit of that off my iron, and it was amazing. And I have some pictures on my Instagram to show how much came off my iron. And when I tell you that I scrubbed this iron just a couple weeks ago, trying to get it off, I still couldn't get it off, trying everything. This iron clean is magic. That was a tip from Vanna. I highly recommend it. Vanna doesn't make any money off of that. It's just what she uses and she has found works for her. And you can buy it on Amazon. It's wonderful. So there you go. All right, what else have I been doing? I do have some other ornaments that I am working on in the middle of fully finishing. So I'm gonna show you those. These are bits and pieces, and they're in stages of being fully finished. You'll see them fully finished soon. This is an ornament that I did, and this is part of Stitching with the Housewives. I think it's Back Up the Truck. Now, I saw this, I don't think I've shared this with you guys before, but I might have. Jess was at the retreat, and she used this car on her retreat piece, and I loved it. She said she wasn't a house person, so she didn't want to do a house. She did the car. I loved it. I decided I wanted to take the car, keeping same mind in with her to commemorate the retreat that I went on. And so as you can see, it says Asheville and then the year down here. So that ornament is going to remind me of the retreat that we went to in Asheville. And I love that. So that's being in the middle of being fully finished. What else have I worked on? I am also working on, or I finished, I think I have the pattern. I'm sorry, Levi's going to bark because he's barking at leaves on the sunlight in the sunroom, and he's doing it to be annoying. And I he's not going to stop. He's going to continue to bark, and I'm so sorry. Okay, this is a free pattern from the Blue Flower, and it is Christmas Hippo. Now, why would I do a Christmas Hippo? I did a Christmas Hippo because I am obsessed with Fiona at Cincinnati Zoo. If you don't know who she is, go Google her. She was born premature, and they had tons of videos showing Fiona, and she was amazing, and I still love to see her pictures and her videos, and now she has a baby brother, Fritz, and I love hippos. So I had to stitch the hippo, and I added the name Fiona. So Fiona has her Santa hat on. So a lot of people have done this one. This is in the middle of being an oval finish, as you can see. Okay, I did not bring this chart out here. So this is from Primrose Cottage, and I think it's called Religious Trio. I did the Silent Night one. As you can see, it's in the middle of a finish. Now, I did change the colors. You can't really tell. I changed the green in here to, let me see if I wrote it down. I don't think I did. I think I just changed it to like 502, 503, something like that. And then I changed the red to match. I have started the other one. I won't get it done. The Come Let Us Adore Him, I think. No, Come, I don't know. Whichever the other one is in there. I started it, but I obviously didn't finish it. It'll go on the shelf for next year. I will finish that for next year. Okay, what else did I stitch? Now this is, I don't think I showed you guys this. This is the one I was stitching at the retreat, which is Cut Your Own Fraser Fur. It is in the middle of being finally finished, and I'm obviously doing a round. I don't think I showed you this before, but maybe I did. Here you go, you can see it again. Stitching with the Housewives. Okay, the next one that is in the middle of being fully finished. This one is Mr. Claus from Teresa Kogut. Now, Kogut. Why doesn't she just change her name so I can say it? Okay, this one is a Patreon chart. I joined her Patreon. Now, I joined in November. This was July's ornament. One of the things that you can go back and purchase any of the Patreon pieces that you missed. On my tier, I would have gotten this for free, but I wasn't in the Patreon in July, but I really liked him. And I don't think I have my card up here. Oh, no, I do. I used 18 count Picture This Plus Harold. Now, I have a needle in him because nope, just string. I'm currently sewing him up. I'll show you the back so you can see the finish. Oh, sorry. Okay, so that's how he looks. I really, really like him. I did him on 18 count. I'm sorry, the light is not great. I did him on 18 count so he could be an ornament. Now, here, this is going to look messy, but here, as you can see, how I go around the edge and I cinch it up. I sew in my ribbon. It doesn't look pretty, but nobody's gonna see it. I do my star plus more because that's me. And then I will put the back of the circle on him and you stitch them together. I think Helen D glues hers together. I stitched mine. That's the way Vanna's tutorial was. And I do like the way it really cinches them in good. So that's the way I do them. I'm sure glue would work. Here's another fuzzy. Whoops. But I really, really liked him. My whole point of doing him was I had joined the Patreon and I wanted to do something from the Patreon. So that's what I did. I will tell you, I have been very pleased with the Patreon and I've enjoyed it. So for me, it's been worth it. We just got some free patterns. Well, in my tier, it depends what tier you're in. In my tier, I got some free patterns for December. I will show you them in my haul. Okay, what else did I finish? I finished Little House Needleworks, the main station, the train station. This was my third one in the series that I needed to finish, and it's not ironed. but I did finish it. I always stitch these on Picture This Plus 14 count murky. So there's the next one. So I need to fully finish those into the pillows. They will all be finished like the pillows that I did last year, which are actually on this tray right there. You can't see from this angle. Now I have the hiccups, but they're there. Okay. I don't think I showed you this. This is from this is from Stitching with the Housewives. It is, I don't have my card out here, I don't believe. I might have showed you this before. I just took a section of it. I'm gonna make it into a little ornament. So that's super cute. Just on a scrap piece of paper, scrap piece of fabric I had. Now, I think I showed you these last time. I restitched some of the Very Merry Mini Surprise, and I think I added an extra word in there, from Prairie Schooler. Now, I had stitched these for my kids. I've already fully finished them. Mackenzie got one as well. So I've stitched 4 of them. Now I stitched 3 more from my tree. I am going to be fully finishing these on these sleds from 141 Designs. Chantel. I need to paint them. That's on the list to do this weekend. I'll be finishing them on these sleds, and I wanted those for my tree. So I restitched those. Oh my God, Levi, you are killing me, Smalls. Like, really? Okay, these are, I'm gonna show you this, and then I'm gonna show you my bag where all the patterns come from, because I have it kitted up and I have some more in there. So these are all from the Little Stitcher, and they are Arctic Animals 1 and 2, Winter Animals 1 and 2, and I think that's all I have. Okay, so I have completed the walrus. This is on 14 count, Picture This Plus vintage country 14 count vintage country mocha, not Picture This Plus at all. There's the raccoon. I actually had him started and never finished him, so I finished him. And then I also did the penguin. Now, let me show you the patterns, and I'll show you all the ones you can choose from. This is actually my project that I'm taking on the road with me. What do I have? This is a whip, so I'll show you this. This will be the owl, and I'll show you the owl pattern in just a second, but you can see my progress. Not impressive. This bag is a mess with floss. You didn't see that. You didn't see that. Okay, so we have Arctic Animals 2. I haven't done any of those in there yet, but I really love the orca, the seal. Yeah, I love those. This is in that bag, but they will not be done on the same fabric, and they'll be done this summer. These are farm animals from Little Stitcher. Sorry, I hope that didn't mess up. That's farm animals. And water animals. I love the beaver. He is adorable. These are Winter Berries 2. Now, these won't be done the same way, but they're in the book since they're all these kind of animals. And then Winter Berries regular. Super cute. And those ones I just bought recently to kind of go with the ones I had. This was in my bag, so... Now, these patterns look like I kicked them, but they have been traveling a lot. So, here is Winter Animals 2. I am doing the owl. That's the one I showed you. I've already done the raccoon. I really like the bear. And then here is Arctic Animals, which I've done the walrus and the penguin. I want to do the elk. And here's Winter Animals 1, or regular. I like the deer as well. I haven't done that one yet. So all of these patterns are in this bag. Like I said, the farm animals won't get done right now, but it's all kitted up in here. So, and I have extra fabric and I'm working on those. I'll get as many done as I can and call it good. But those will be winter ones. Okay, let me show you my other two whips. I am not going to take this out of the frame because it's a pain in the butt to get it back in. So I'll hold it up. I am working on Snow Stop from Thistles. Now this is huge. It is stitched on 18 count over 2. The idea is he's supposed to be big. And as you can see, he is. I just have to finish this section and he's done. So he's really hard to see in this light. This color is like a bluey green. He's really, really cute. I really, really like him, but he is a lot of work. So I started him a couple years ago, 2 years ago maybe, and my goal is to finish him this year. So I've been working on him. Okay, my next whip that I've been working on, and I don't have tons of progress, but I love it. And my goal is just to work on it just a little bit at a time. It is Beauty Fades from Teresa Kogut. Now, this is a bad picture and you can't see it really well. I am not stitching this section. I'm stitching the rose section, the section with the girl, and then the houses. Now, this is phenomenal. It is so pretty. If you ever get to see this in person, Chantel at the retreat was stitching this and it was so gorgeous. When I joined Patreon, I'm like, I'm printing that out. I don't have much progress, but I do have a rose done. And if I told you what colors made up that rose, you'd be like, no way. Gorgeous. She is a master at colors. And so I really, really loved this chart and we'll be working on it. So that's one that I just want to do like 30 minutes a day. Now, obviously when I'm traveling, I don't take this with me. I am stitching that on, I think it's 25 count Pebble Lugana from Lori Holt. All right, I just have some stash to show you and then I'm done. And I'm battling the end of my camera battery or my phone battery, so I'm gonna go fast. I did get some stuff from 141 Designs from Chantel. This box, I got 2 of them. Actually, Mackenzie is stitching something from her grandmother, so I bought her one of these to fully finish it in. Those are fantastic. I did get some fabric from Fortnite Fabrics. I got, this is Lugana, Days of Old. These are not gonna show up good, and I probably shouldn't even show them because it's bad lighting. This is Heirloom. This is Ada. Old Fashioned. I haven't even taken these out of the plastic yet. And then A Long Time Ago. This is Lugana. They're very pretty fabric. I really liked the feel of the Lugana. Okay, what else did I get? I got Fairy Wool in the Wood Country Music. That is going to be an ornament for next year. So I got that. I got Moonlight from Filigram. I have always seen this chart on 123 Stitch, thought it was beautiful. And I've stuck it in my cart, and apparently it was in there when I ordered. This is not a chart that I bought. This is a chart that I own. Random winter chart that I own. I did get Happy Fall Y'all from Little Stitch Girl. I think that's really pretty. Okay, this one is from Erica Made, but it is Confessions of a Homeschooler. And this I got as the bundle, and it's the monthly trucks. And you can order it off of her site. She is on Instagram. So if you Google her, she pops up. I really liked those. Okay, I'm going to save these for next time, I think. I don't think I have anything that, oh no, there's some in here I want to show you. So I might save some of these. I'm running out of battery, but I did want to show you. So I had a hard time finding religious cross stitch this year. And a lot of the religious ones I found were older patterns. A New Creation Studio has some beautiful patterns. Now, I'm going to show you two. I think the other two are further down. She gifted me two patterns that were nativity. I thought they were gorgeous. She came out with some new fat patterns, and I was pleased to be able to buy them from her and support her. How beautiful is that? She is on Etsy. Nativity Cross. Beautiful. And then she also has Joy to the World. Now these are small patterns that will be wonderful as ornaments. Beautiful. Love it. So go check her out if you are looking for religious ornaments. I also bought this Christmas spin 4-pack, and it's from Pickle Barrel Designs. And these are hysterical. They're not everybody's cup of tea, but they're very fun. I bought those. That one I need to reprint. That is not a good copy of that. I bought a Calvin and Hobbes pattern off of Etsy, but I do not have a cover page, so I cannot show you that one. It was off of Million of Stitches, Calvin and Hobbes. It's really, really cute. I'll flash it because this is super blurry. You're not gonna be able to, super cute. My husband always had a Calvin and Hobbes book, and I liked them, so I thought I would do that for him one time. This is Satsuma Tree Topper. These were kits, and she recently came out with them as PDFs, and I ordered the PDFs. Candy Claus, a Merry Pair, so I grabbed those. I'm trying to find, this is Fairy Wool in a Wood. I always mess that up. The Nutcracker guy. I actually don't know what it's called. It says music. I think it's called music. Okay, this is from the French Giraffe, and it's 3 wise men. Now you'll have to look at that little picture. It is better online. Check it out, but that's the only cover art she has, so I can't show you the chart. It also comes with angels and shepherds. And this is the Holy Family. So it was like a series, but you had to buy all 3. Really cute. Once again, it's hard to find some of these religious ones. And I know that the religious ones are ones that I want to do for my kids all the time. There's another chart I would love to show you, but it too does not have a cover page. So if you are an Etsy seller, can I just say do a cover page? Because I would love to give you business, but I can't because your chart doesn't have a cover page. This is from the X-Stitch Conservative on Etsy, and this is Some Heroes Drive Trucks. Obviously, I want to do this one for my husband as an ornament. So they are on Etsy as well. I'm trying to get to the 2. Oh, okay. I also bought this from Darlene Dion Designs. And this is I Heard the Bells. And I love this banner, but I love it if you divided it up. I think they'd make great ornaments. And look, if you bought this, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ornaments. Yes, 5 ornaments you could do out of one chart. Here's another one, Nativity Scenes Small, Joy to the World. Who is this from? It just says Happy Nestus. This is on Etsy as well. cute. And then here's another version of the Holy Family. Let's see. Okay, these are the two that was gifted to me from a new creation studio. Christmas Nativity Square. Like I said, she gifted me these two and then I bought the other two. And Silent Night. Whoops, let me show that better. Very, very pretty. These are going in my stash for next year because I stitched my religious ones for this year. So, I also got Stitch Quarterly Fall is in the Air. I just bought the chart. I don't get the Stitch Quarterly box. I also got my Let's Go on Ride a Bike, Winter Woods. That one I get as a kit. I also got Christmas Mantle from Bent Creek, and this is the whole chart, but it's divided up. And it comes as a whole kit. So that'll be a project for next year. Now these two are something that I'm deciding on. One of these will be started this year, and I don't know which one. These are our free charts in my tier for Teresa Kogut. Now, I love this how it is, but what I'm thinking about doing is doing just the snowman as a stand-up. Won't he be awesome? Also, Blistering Day. Now, I love it how it is, but I also just love these new snowman. Now, he has his hand reached out. What I thought about doing is just putting a snowflake in his hand. So, one of those will be started this year. I really, really am enjoying my Patreon from Teresa. And when I saw those patterns, there is another one. I don't remember what it's called. I didn't print that one because it wasn't one that I would stitch, or I don't know. I didn't print it. I think it was okay. I just didn't. I was like, I like these two, and I think I'll pick one of those. So anyhow, I'm sorry that this Flosstube is so haphazard, but I did really, really want to show you what I've been up to and make a Flosstube. I'm so sorry that I've been MIA. Hopefully after Christmas, everything will settle down and we won't be traveling as much. But we do have one more load to get out of Michigan. So whenever that happens, but I will be fully finishing. If for some reason I have to give a fully finish to somebody, I will take pictures beforehand and post it on my Instagram. So always follow my Instagram. Okay, my battery is already going, so I'm going to go. Thank you so much for joining me. If you don't already, like and subscribe and keep stitching, and I'll see you guys in a little while.